And welcome back to Hannity. All right, 11 months ago today, President Obama held a press conference in the East Room and talked about the IRS and the agency's illegal targeting of conservatives. Now, among other things, he vowed to get to the bottom of the scandal. And needless to say, well, this is a flashback that the White House probably does not want you to see on this tax day. Take a look.
It's inexcusable, and Americans are right to be angry about it, and I am angry about it. I will not tolerate this kind of behavior in any agency, but especially in the IRS. We're going to hold the responsible parties accountable. We will work with Congress as it performs its oversight role. And our administration has to make sure that we are working hand in hand with Congress to get this thing fixed.
And here with much more, Fox News contributor DeRoy Murdoch, the co-host of the hit show, The Five, Dana Perino. Guys, good to see you. He sounded great. You know, so I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I'm angry. The American people should be angry. And
it was authentic and genuine. And then all of a sudden they realized, uh-oh, we could have a significant political problem, and that would be very inconvenient. And I don't know what happened, but 6 weeks later, President Obama said it's a phony scandal. So here's what I would ask. Could we at least just see the information that he was given that convinced him it was a phony scandal? And then let us make up our own minds.
That is really well said. You got to top that. That was good.
Well, I think one of the things, if we're trying to get to the bottom of this scandal, is the FBI would have talked to the victims and said, what happened? Give us your side of the story. I today contacted the American Center for Law and Justice. I said, have any of your victims been contacted the FBI? No. Cleta Mitchell is an attorney representing these groups. Her victims have not been contacted either. She, in fact, said, I have no idea if they're going through the motions. I rather doubt it is a serious investigation. So the minimum is, you have any kind of investigation of any kind of crime or alleged crime, you send in the authorities, they ask people, what did you see, what happened? And that apparently hasn't happened in this case.
I always bring up this analogy. If my kids do something wrong, okay, admit it, let's move on, it's over. When they lie to me, then we've really got a big problem. I don't like to be lied to. When you think about, they first blamed rogue agents in Cincinnati. They blamed Benghazi on a YouTube video and a spontaneous demonstration. They lied about health care. They lied about the NSA. There's been a lot of lying going on. A lot of lies, yeah. A lot of lies.
And also obfuscation, right? Because Lois Lerner, who was the person who did the very clumsy leak to get the bad news out, that turns out then
she set up a question.
Is actually probably responsible, or at least knows a lot more than she's saying, because she took the fifth. So now Americans are sitting there going, well, wait, the president was outraged enough to call a press conference in prime time and show genuine outrage, but 6 weeks later, he doesn't think there's any scandal here, and Lois Lerner then pleads the fifth, and still there are no answers.
There's also no accountability. We're waiting to see if anybody gets fired. I mean, we had one resignation of the acting IRS commissioner, but he was on his way out anyway. And Lois Lerner was allowed to take that long sort of paid vacation, then retired. Who's going to, will any hands roll over this?
Because they're talking about intimidating, silencing, and harassing political opponents.
Not only that, but Lois Lerner is accused, and I think that they have a case. I think that the Americans would have a case against her, because you are not allowed, when you work at the IRS, you cannot give a private citizen's taxpayer
information to Elijah Cummings,
to give it to a political opponent.
Right.
I mean, the IRS, the tax authority, and the military are the two most potent forms of against people. And the administration...
Most intimidating force of the government.
Right. So the administration bears some responsibility for the fact that this happened under their watch. Now, if it is true that it's a phony scandal and there's nothing to see here, then at least could we see what President Obama saw that convinced him there's not a problem?
Yeah, I would just say to our friends on the left, imagine John McCain won the election in 2008 and the Occupy movement popped up, and all of a sudden they're trying to get 501c4 status, and they just are buried in paperwork. They can't come out and do what they want to do because the IRS basically sandbags them. Think about it from their perspective. Those people who might be laughing at us as, a bunch of paranoid conservatives.
And they are laughing.
Put the shoe on the other foot.
Oh, absolutely.
They're laughing at us.
I agree. All right, guys, good to see you both.